The story of David and Goliath. Faith, courage, and a humble weapon. Greetings. Today we will dive into one of the most famous stories in human history, a story that has inspired people to act boldly and believe in themselves for thousands of years. This is the story of David and Goliath, a battle in which the spirit and faith proved stronger than physical strength. This story is not just a battle, it is a symbol of hope, courage, and the belief that even the weakest can defeat the strongest if they have the courage to go against the tide. Let's go on this exciting story. Our story takes place around the 11th century BCE. At that time, the kingdom of Israel, consisting of 12 tribes, often fought with neighboring nations. The most dangerous enemy were the Philistines, skilled warriors armed to the teeth. During one of these periods of tension, both armies, the Israelite and the Philistine, were camped in the Elah Valley. Between them was a vast no-man's land, where, according to the custom of the time, a battle was to take place. However, instead of a clash of entire armies, the Philistines proposed to decide the outcome of the war in single combat, and here comes our main antagonist, Goliath of Gath. He was a real giant. His height was more than 3 meters. Goliath was clad in armor, his spear was huge, and, as the Bible testifies, his weight was terrifying. Every day he went out onto the battlefield and challenged the Israelites to single combat, mocking their army and offering to decide the outcome of the war single-handedly. Goliath was certainly terrifying. None of the Israelites dared to accept the challenge. At this time, one of the most important people in the Israelite camp was absent, King Saul. He commanded the army, but he needed reinforcements. While the army was inactive, in distant Bethlehem, in the simple family of the shepherd Jesse, a young man named David was growing up. David was the youngest of Jesse's 8 sons. He was handsome, brave, and most importantly, full of faith in God. He was not a warrior, but he was an excellent slinger, a tool used by shepherds to protect their sheep from wild animals. In those days, when the Israelite army was in the Elah Valley, David's father sent him to his older brothers with food and an errand to find out about their affairs. And so, having arrived at the camp, David heard the defiant voice of Goliath, insulting the God of Israel and his people. This caused David's indignation. Hearing Goliath's insolence, David turned to the soldiers. "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine who thus defies the army of the living God?" His words caused bewilderment and even condemnation. His older brothers scolded him for his insolence and for daring to interfere in the affairs of the soldiers. However, David did not back down. He was eager to fight Goliath to defend the honor of his people and the glory of his God. He said, "Your servant kept his father's sheep. Whenever a lion or a bear came and carried off a lamb from the flock, I pursued him and attacked him and rescued it from his mouth. And when he attacked me, I caught him by the beard and struck him and killed him. Your servant has killed both lion and bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like them." His determination reached King Saul. Saul, seeing young David, at first doubted his strength, but upon learning of his exploits with wild animals, agreed. The king even offered David his armor and sword, but David refused, saying that he was not used to them. He felt constrained in them. David went out to meet Goliath, armed only with his sling, 5 smooth stones from the brook, and a staff. When Goliath saw David, he laughed at his youthful appearance and said contemptuously, "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks?" And he cursed David by his gods. David answered him, "You come to me with a sword and a spear and a shield, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." And so David, confident in God's help, ran to meet Goliath. He snatched a stone from his bag, put it in his sling, and swinging it, threw it at Goliath's forehead. The stone hit the target, piercing the armor and hitting the giant in his weakest spot. Goliath fell to the ground. David ran up to Goliath, took his sword, and cut off his head. The Israelites, seeing Goliath dead, rushed at the Philistines and won the battle. David's victory had enormous consequences. Not only did it save Israel from humiliation and give them victory in battle, but it also showed that the God of Israel is stronger than any earthly forces. David became a hero. His name became famous throughout the land. But most importantly, the story of David and Goliath reminds us that faith and courage are more important than strength. You must not underestimate your opponent, but you should not be afraid either. God is always on the side of those who fight for the truth. A modest weapon can. Let this story inspire you to act boldly, to believe in yourself, and to fight for what is important to you. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with your friends. Until next time.